In this special video, we'll reveal the surprising health risks associated with daily habits that many people over 70 may not even realize are impacting their well-being. You might be shocked to learn how something that seems so harmless could be affecting your health and quality of life. But before we dive into that, let's explore the story of Mr. Samuel, a vibrant 72-year-old who thought he had life all figured out. Mr. Samuel, a retired school principal, had spent years dedicated to education, nurturing young minds, and contributing to his community. After retiring, he anticipated a peaceful life filled with gardening, reading, and spending time with his grandchildren. He envisioned mornings spent sipping coffee on his porch, afternoons tending to his beloved roses, and evenings filled with laughter as his family gathered around the dinner table. "This is the life I've worked for," he often told himself, a warm smile of contentment spreading across his face. However, as the months passed, Mr. Samuel began to notice subtle shifts in his daily routine. His mornings, once serene and leisurely, started to feel rushed. Instead of enjoying a quiet moment with his coffee, he found himself jumping from one task to another, like a juggler desperately trying to keep all the balls in the air. "I'll just help with this," he would say, as he picked up the phone to answer a call from his daughter, or rushed to his neighbor's house to lend a hand. At first, it felt fulfilling to be needed, but soon it became overwhelming. One afternoon, while helping his daughter with her children, he felt an unusual tightness in his chest. At first, he brushed it off as stress from juggling family commitments. "I'm just getting older," he thought, dismissing the warning signs. Yet, as days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, that tightness grew more persistent. He started experiencing fatigue that he attributed to simply being a busy grandfather, but was soon concerned it was more than just age catching up with him. A recent study from the American Heart Association indicated that excessive caregiving responsibilities could lead to increased stress and health issues in older adults. Mr. Samuel had become a classic example of this phenomenon, where the desire to help others began to take a serious toll on his own health. He found himself yearning for those quiet moments he once cherished, yet felt guilty for wanting to withdraw from his family's demands. As he sat in his living room one evening, he recalled the days when he could lose himself in a novel for hours, or take long walks in the park without a care in the world. "When did I stop having time for myself?" he pondered, feeling a pang of regret. The philosopher Socrates once said, "An unexamined life is not worth living," and Mr. Samuel realized he needed to examine his own life. He had willingly stepped into a role of constant caregiver, sacrificing his own well-being for the sake of family. But at what cost? The following weekend, Mr. Samuel attended a family gathering, hoping to reconnect with the joy he once felt in these moments. However, the event turned out to be more draining than uplifting. He found himself slipping into the background, catering to everyone's needs while neglecting his own desires. A moment of clarity struck him as he watched his grandchildren play while the adults engaged in conversations that left him feeling isolated. "I'm here, but I feel invisible," he thought, a wave of sadness washing over. That night, as he lay in bed, he reflected on the words of writer Maya Angelou. "We may encounter many defeats, but we must not be defeated." He realized that he had allowed himself to become lost in the roles that others expected him to play. He needed to reclaim his sense of self, and that would require courage. The following day, Mr. Samuel decided to have an honest conversation with his family. He gathered them in the living room and took a deep breath, feeling a mix of anxiety and determination. "I love you all, and I want to be here for you," he started, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "However, I've realized that I need to take better care of myself too." The room fell silent as his family absorbed his words. He continued, "I need to find a balance between helping you and living my own life." His daughter Emily looked concerned. "But Dad, we love having you around. You're always so helpful," she said, her brow furrowed. "We don't want to lose that." Mr. Samuel nodded, understanding her perspective but knowing that something had to change. "I appreciate your love and support, but I think we need to reevaluate how we interact. I can't be the person you've always relied on if I'm not taking care of myself first." As he spoke, he remembered the research he had read about the importance of self-care for older adults. Studies showed that those who prioritize their health and well-being experienced improved emotional and physical health. He needed to lead by example, not only for himself, but for his family. After some initial resistance, Mr. Samuel's family began to understand his perspective. They realized that his well-being was just as crucial as their needs. "We want you to be happy, Dad," Emily finally said, her eyes softening. "Let's figure this out together." With this newfound understanding, they began to create a plan that allowed Mr. Samuel to have more time for himself while still being an integral part of their lives. They agreed to set specific days for family gatherings and established boundaries around his availability. He would no longer be the go-to person for every little task. Instead, he would take time to enjoy his hobbies, reconnect with friends, and nurture his own interests. As the weeks turned into months, Mr. Samuel started to feel more like himself again. He resumed his morning coffee rituals, allowing time for reflection and relaxation. He rediscovered his love for gardening, spending hours tending to his plants and soaking up the sun. In the evenings, he would read novels and even started writing down his thoughts and experiences, something he had always wanted to do but never found the time for. Mr. Samuel found that by taking care of himself, he could be more present and engaged when he was with his family. The time spent together became richer and more meaningful. He was no longer a tired, overwhelmed grandfather, but a vibrant man who had regained his sense of purpose. He noticed that his relationships deepened as he learned to communicate his needs and desires. In this journey of self-discovery, Mr. Samuel learned an invaluable lesson about the importance of balance and self-care. He began sharing his story with friends and neighbors, encouraging them to evaluate their own lives. "It's never too late to prioritize yourself," he would say, a passionate glint in his eye. "Taking care of your health isn't selfish, it's essential." As Mr. Samuel continued to embrace his independence, he became a source of inspiration for others in his community. He volunteered to lead workshops on self-care for older adults, sharing practical tips and strategies to help others reclaim their lives. He often quoted the wise words of Rumi, "The wound is the place where the light enters you," reminding everyone that their challenges could lead to profound growth. In the end, Mr. Samuel's journey taught him that self-care is not a destination, but an ongoing practice. By allowing himself the freedom to prioritize his health and happiness, he transformed not only his life, but also the lives of those around him. And in doing so, he discovered that sometimes the path to true fulfillment begins with the courage to take a step back and reflect on what truly matters. As he sat in his garden one sunny afternoon, Mr. Samuel marveled at the vibrant colors of the flowers he had nurtured. Each bloom seemed to reflect his own renewed spirit. Testament to the care he had begun to dedicate not just to his plants, but to himself. The gentle rustle of the leaves and the cheerful chirping of birds provided a serene backdrop, allowing him to bask in the tranquility he had long craved. He leaned back in his chair, a contented smile crossing his face as he savored the moment, feeling the warmth of the sun on his skin. This, he thought to himself, is what life is all about. Mr. Samuel's transformation didn't just stop with his personal rituals, it began to ripple through his relationships. He made it a point to have regular one-on-one time with each of his grandchildren, creating special moments that were uniquely theirs. Whether it was teaching them how to plant seeds or sharing stories from his youth, he reveled in these connections, delighting in their laughter and curiosity. His grandson Ethan particularly took to gardening, often asking questions that made Mr. Samuel chuckle. "Grandpa, why do you talk to the flowers?" Ethan inquired one day, eyes wide with genuine curiosity. Mr. Samuel grinned, replying, "Because, my boy, they listen better than most people." This innocent exchange filled his heart with joy, reminding him of the simple pleasures that life had to offer. Meanwhile, Emily, his daughter, noticed the positive changes in her father. She was inspired by his newfound commitment to self-care and began to think about her own life. The pressures of work and family were a constant source of stress for her, leading to feelings of guilt whenever she took time for herself. Mr. Samuel, ever the supportive father, gently encouraged her to carve out moments of self-reflection. "You can't pour from an empty cup, Emily," he reminded her one evening as they shared a meal. "Taking care of yourself allows you to be the best mother and daughter you can be." His words resonated deep, and Emily began to prioritize her own well-being, seeking balance in a way that mirrored her father's journey. However, Mr. Samuel's path was not without challenges. As he embraced his independence, he sometimes faced resistance from family members who were accustomed to relying on him. There were moments of tension when his desires conflicted with their expectations. One evening during a family dinner, his younger daughter, Sarah, expressed frustration. "Dad, we need you. Why can't you just be there for us like you used to?" she exclaimed, her voice tinged with desperation. Mr. Samuel took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her words. "I understand, Sarah, but I need you to understand too. I want to be there for you, but I can't do that effectively if I'm not taking care of myself first." This honest dialogue was pivotal, as it opened the door for a deeper understanding of boundaries and personal needs within their family dynamics. As he navigated these conversations, Mr. Samuel started to recognize the importance of communication. He began to articulate his feelings more openly, sharing his fears and aspirations with his loved ones. This practice not only strengthened his relationships, but also encouraged his family to voice their own thoughts and emotions. They learned that vulnerability could be a source of strength, fostering a deeper connection between them. It was a realization that Mr. Samuel held dear, echoing the sentiment expressed by Brené Brown. Vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change. In addition to nurturing his family ties, Mr. Samuel also sought to deepen his connection with his community. Inspired by his own journey, he organized a weekly coffee group for seniors in his neighborhood, where they could share their stories, struggles, and successes. The gatherings became a safe space for individuals to discuss their experiences, fostering a sense of camaraderie that resonated with many. One participant, Mrs. Thompson, a lively 70 75-year-old widow, shared her own challenges with loneliness. "I never realized how important it was to connect with others," she said one morning, her eyes sparkling with gratitude. "You've inspired me to reach out, to be a part of something bigger." Mr. Samuel beamed at her words, feeling a sense of purpose in facilitating these connections. As the weeks turned into months, Mr. Samuel's garden became a metaphor for his life. Just as he cultivated the flowers with care and attention, he also nurtured his relationships and personal well-being. He learned to embrace the ebb and flow of life, understanding that growth often comes with challenges. During one particularly rainy week, as he tended to his plants, he reflected on the storms he had weathered in his own life. "Just like these flowers need rain to thrive, I too have needed the hardships to grow stronger," he mused, appreciating the lessons learned along the way. The concept of self-care gradually took root not only in his life, but also in the lives of those around him. He saw the impact of prioritizing mental and emotional health in his family as they began to adopt healthier coping mechanisms. They started to engage in activities together that fostered joy and well-being, such as weekend hikes or cooking nights, where everyone contributed a dish. The laughter that filled their home became a reminder of the importance of connection and shared experiences, often echoing through the hallways long after the meals were finished. Meanwhile, Mr. Samuel's journey had also led him to explore new interests. With some encouragement from his grandchildren, he took up painting, something he had always wanted to try but never pursued. He found solace in the strokes of the brush, allowing his creativity to flow freely onto the canvas. Each piece he created reflected a different emotion, a different moment in time, capturing the essence of his journey. One evening, as he unveiled his latest painting to his family, he could see the awe in their eyes. "It's beautiful, Grandpa," Ethan exclaimed, a wide grin spreading across his face. In that moment, Mr. Samuel realized that embracing new passions not only enriched his life, but also inspired those around him to pursue their own interests. As Mr. Samuel continued to cultivate his garden, both literally and metaphorically, he often thought back to the tightness in his chest that had once signaled a need for change. He understood now that life was about balance, about nurturing oneself while simultaneously being present for others. He had learned to redefine what it meant to be a caregiver, understanding that sometimes the greatest gift he could give his family was the example of a life lived fully and authentically. In sharing his story and experiences, Mr. Samuel became an advocate for self-care among his peers. He often quoted the words of the Dalai Lama: "If you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion." He understood that compassion extended not only to others, but also to oneself. It was a powerful lesson that resonated deeply within his community, inspiring many older adults to reconsider their own habits and interactions. As we reflect on Mr. Samuel's journey, we are reminded of the importance of prioritizing health and well-being, especially as we age. The habits we cultivate can either enhance or hinder our quality of life, and it's never too late to make a change. His story serves as a beacon of hope, illustrating that by taking a step back and reassessing our lives, we can foster a healthier, more fulfilling existence. In the end, it's about finding joy in the little things, nurturing our passions, and realizing that self-care is not just a luxury, but a necessity for a vibrant life. Mr. Samuel's journey illuminated the transformative power of prioritizing health and well-being, particularly for those navigating the complexities of life after 70. As he continued to embrace this newfound philosophy, he began to notice subtle yet profound changes not only within himself, but also in the environment around him. The garden, once a solitary retreat, became a communal space where friends and family gathered, sharing stories and laughter amidst the blossoms. The gentle hum of conversation filled the air as neighbors began to drop by, drawn in by the vibrant colors and the warm atmosphere that Mr. Samuel had cultivated. He found joy in hosting casual gatherings, turning his garden into a sanctuary where everyone felt welcome. These moments fostered connection, allowing those who attended to share their own struggles and triumphs. As they exchanged tales of resilience, Mr. Samuel often found himself reflecting on the interconnectedness of their experiences. One afternoon, while sharing a cup of herbal tea with Mrs. Thompson, she confided, "I used to think that happiness was something others experienced, not me, but you've shown me that it's about finding joy in everyday moments." Mr. Samuel smiled, recognizing the impact of his journey on those around him. "It's all about perspective," he replied thoughtfully. "Happiness isn't a destination. It's the small, meaningful moments we create each day." As the weeks turned into months, the garden blossomed not only with flowers, but also with friendships. Mr. Samuel began to organize monthly potlucks, encouraging everyone to bring a dish to share. The gatherings became a cherished tradition, where stories were exchanged over hearty meals, laughter echoed, and new bonds formed. His heart swelled with pride as he watched friendships blossom among attendees who had previously been strangers. It was a testament to the power of community and connection, reinforcing his belief that nurturing relationships is essential for well-being. Through these gatherings, Mr. Samuel also learned the importance of listening. He often found himself in conversations that revealed the personal struggles of his friends and neighbors. One evening, as he spoke with George, a fellow retiree who had recently lost his wife, Mr. Samuel offered a listening ear. "It's been tough," George admitted, his voice strained with emotion. "I never realized how lonely it could be." Mr. Samuel nodded empathetically, understanding the weight of loss. "You're not alone, George. We're all here for each other," he reassured him, offering a comforting presence. This commitment to fostering a supportive community extended beyond the garden. Mr. Samuel became increasingly involved in local initiatives aimed at promoting health and well-being among seniors. He approached the community center with the idea of starting a wellness program that included workshops on physical fitness, mental health, and nutrition. With the center's support, he organized weekly exercise classes and seminars featuring guest speakers who shared insights on maintaining a healthy lifestyle. He was thrilled to see his peers engaged and eager to learn, a reflection of the growing awareness surrounding self-care. One particularly impactful workshop featured a local nutritionist who spoke about the importance of balanced diets for older adults. "Food is not just fuel, it's medicine," she explained, captivating the audience with her passion. Mr. Samuel watched as his friends took notes and exchanged ideas, their enthusiasm infectious. It sparked a conversation that led to a monthly cooking club, where they would explore healthy recipes together. This initiative not only provided them with delicious meals, but also strengthened their bonds through shared culinary experiences. As Mr. Samuel delved deeper into his advocacy work, he began to reflect on the broader implications of self-care and community engagement. He realized that many older adults faced similar challenges: loneliness, isolation, and the struggle to find purpose in their later years. His experiences prompted him to consider how he could extend his reach beyond his immediate circle. He envisioned a community-wide campaign that would raise awareness about the importance of mental and physical health for seniors, encouraging them to seek help and connect with one another. With determination, he approached local organizations and proposed collaborative events that would unite various senior groups in the area. His enthusiasm was met with support, and soon, community gatherings were organized, featuring activities that promoted health, creativity, and connection. From art classes to group hikes, these events became a beacon of hope for many, fostering a sense of belonging that resonated deeply. As the seasons changed, so did Mr. Samuel's garden, mirroring the evolution of his own life. The flowers he tended blossomed in a riot of colors, each representing a connection made, a story shared, or a moment of joy. He often found solace in the simplicity of nature, reflecting on the lessons it offered. The resilience of the plants reminded him that growth often comes after periods of adversity, just as he had experienced in his own journey. One afternoon, while pruning his roses, Mr. Samuel was struck by a thought. What if I could inspire others to find their own paths to self-care and fulfillment? With this newfound motivation, he decided to write a book chronicling his experiences, weaving together personal anecdotes, insights, and practical advice for older adults seeking to navigate the complexities of aging with grace and purpose. He poured his heart into the pages, recalling the challenges he faced and the lessons he learned. He aimed to create a guide that would resonate with others, encouraging them to embark on their own journeys of self-discovery. Mr. Samuel envisioned a book that would remind readers that it's never too late to prioritize their health and happiness, no matter the circumstances. As he shared his progress with his family, they rallied around him, offering support and encouragement. Emily, who had begun her own journey of self-care, often sat beside him, providing feedback on his writing. "This is incredible, Dad. You're going to help so many people," she exclaimed, her pride evident as she read through his drafts. With each passing day, Mr. Samuel felt a renewed sense of purpose. His garden flourished, and so did his relationships, all while he pursued this new endeavor. The act of writing became a therapeutic outlet, allowing him to reflect on the beauty of life's journey and the importance of connection. As he neared the completion of his manuscript, Mr. Samuel organized a launch event at the community center, inviting friends, family, and neighbors to celebrate this milestone. The day arrived, and the atmosphere buzzed with excitement. Attendees mingled, sharing stories and laughter as they awaited the momentous occasion. When it was time for Mr. Samuel to speak, he stood before the crowd, his heart swelling with gratitude. "Thank you all for being here today. This book is not just my story. It's a testament to the power of community and the importance of taking care of ourselves," he began, his voice steady yet filled with emotion. As he spoke, he could see the faces of those who had supported him throughout his journey, their smiles encouraging him to share his truth. He recounted his experiences, his struggles with caregiving, the moments of isolation, and the transformative nature of self-care. "We're all in this together," he concluded, his eyes glistening with sincerity. "It's never too late to reclaim your joy, to prioritize your health, and to connect with those around you. Life is a beautiful journey, and together, we can make it even more vibrant." The applause that followed was a chorus of support and appreciation, a reflection of the community that had rallied around him. As he looked out into the crowd, he felt an overwhelming sense of fulfillment. He had not only embraced his own journey but had also inspired others to embark on theirs. In the months that followed, Mr. Samuel's book gained traction, resonating with readers far and wide. He received heartfelt messages from individuals who found solace in his words, many expressing their gratitude for encouraging them to prioritize their health and happiness. This feedback fueled his passion, inspiring him to continue advocating for self-care and community connection. Mr. Samuel's life became a tapestry woven with vibrant threads of relationships, personal growth, and the unwavering belief that taking care of oneself is essential for living a fulfilling life. He remained committed to his garden, his family, and his community, understanding that as he nurtured these aspects of his life, he also nurtured his own spirit. As he sat in his garden, surrounded by blooming flowers and the laughter of his family, he felt a profound sense of peace. The journey he had undertaken was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a reminder that it's never too late to make meaningful changes. With a heart full of gratitude, he realized that the most beautiful blooms often come after the rain, and it is in the nurturing of ourselves and our connections that we find true joy. In this moment of reflection, Mr. Samuel understood the profound truth embedded in the metaphor of his garden. Life, much like nature, requires a delicate balance of care, patience, and nurturing. As he watched the flowers sway gently in the breeze, he was reminded that each petal and leaf had its own unique journey, just as every person does. Each bloom represented not only his efforts, but also the connections he had forged and the lessons he had learned along the way. The warmth of the sun enveloped him, and he felt a renewed sense of purpose. He began to think about how he could further extend his reach, perhaps by collaborating with local schools to educate younger generations about the importance of self-care and community involvement. If I can inspire even one young person to prioritize their well-being, he mused, then I will consider this journey a success. With this idea in mind, Mr. Samuel approached the local high school to propose a mentorship program where seniors could share their life experiences and wisdom with students. He envisioned a space where both generations could learn from one another, fostering mutual respect and understanding. The school administration embraced his vision, and soon he found himself organizing sessions that brought together students and seniors in meaningful discussions. The first session was filled with nervous energy as students filed into the community center, their eyes wide with curiosity. Mr. Samuel welcomed them with a warm smile, encouraging them to share their thoughts and questions. "We have so much to learn from each other," he said, his voice filled with enthusiasm. The students, initially hesitant, gradually opened up as they listened to the stories of resilience shared by their elders. One student, Maya, stood up and shared her own struggles with anxiety and the pressure to succeed in school. "Sometimes I feel so overwhelmed that I don't know how to cope," she admitted, her vulnerability palpable. The seniors nodded in understanding, and Mr. Samuel encouraged the group to share their own experiences with stress and coping mechanisms. As the conversation flowed, Mr. Samuel watched the transformative power of connection unfold. The seniors offered insights, sharing their own stories of overcoming challenges and finding balance in their lives. "It's okay to ask for help," one senior, Mrs. Rivera, said gently. "I wish I had learned that sooner." Maya's eyes lit up as she absorbed the wisdom, feeling a sense of relief in knowing she wasn't alone in her struggles. The sessions became a cherished tradition, bridging the gap between generations and fostering a sense of community that resonated deeply with everyone involved. Mr. Samuel felt a sense of fulfillment as he witnessed the impact of these gatherings, where laughter and shared wisdom filled the room. The students began to appreciate the value of self-care, while the seniors found joy in mentoring and connecting with the younger generation. As the seasons changed, so did the dynamics of Mr. Samuel's life. His relationships deepened, and his sense of purpose expanded. He continued to write, documenting not only his personal journey but also the collective stories shared during the mentorship program. He aimed to compile these narratives into a second book, one that would highlight the wisdom of both young and old, emphasizing the importance of intergenerational connections. One day, while sitting under the shade of a large oak tree in his garden, Mr. Samuel reflected on the unexpected turns his life had taken since he had begun prioritizing self-care. The tightness he had once felt in his chest had transformed into a sense of lightness and freedom. He had learned to embrace vulnerability, understanding that it was not a weakness, but a strength that allowed him to connect more deeply with others. His newfound philosophy extended to his family as well. He encouraged Emily and Sarah to pursue their passions, reminding them that balance was key. He often shared the adage, "You can't pour from an empty cup," encouraging them to carve out time for themselves amidst their busy lives. They embraced this wisdom, and soon, family outings became a regular occurrence, hiking in nature, exploring local art exhibits, and even trying out new recipes together. These experiences not only strengthened their family bond, but also created a legacy of self-care and connection that Mr. Samuel hoped would carry on to future generations. He found joy in watching his daughters flourish, each finding their own paths to happiness and fulfillment. Emily began painting, expressing herself through art, while Sarah took up yoga, discovering the peace that came from mindfulness and movement. As Mr. Samuel continued to cultivate his garden, he realized that he was not just nurturing nurturing plants, but also fostering a culture of care and connection within his family and community. The flowers that bloomed in his garden served as a constant reminder of the beauty that can emerge when we prioritize our well-being and reach out to others. One summer evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Mr. Samuel gathered his family and friends in the garden for a celebration. He wanted to honor the connections they had built and the journeys they had embraced. The air was filled with laughter, and the aroma of delicious food wafted through the atmosphere, creating a sense of warmth and togetherness. As he looked around at the smiling faces gathered around him, he felt a surge of gratitude. "Thank you all for being part of this journey with," he said, raising his glass in a toast. "Let's continue to support one another, to share our stories, and to prioritize our health and happiness. Together, we can create a beautiful tapestry of life, one where every thread matters." The cheers that followed echoed through the garden, a testament to the bonds they had formed. Mr. Samuel realized that the journey of self-care was not a solitary one, but rather a collective effort, one that thrived on support, understanding, and love. As the evening wore on, stories were shared, laughter echoed, and the joy of connection filled the air. Mr. Samuel felt a sense of fulfillment wash over him, knowing that he had not only transformed his own life, but had also inspired those around him to embrace the beauty of self-care and community. He understood that life was a continuous journey, one filled with twists and turns, and that the key to navigating it lay in the relationships we nurtured and the care we extended to ourselves and others. In the years that followed, Mr. Samuel continued to advocate for self-care and community connection. He organized more events, wrote articles for local publications, and even became a sought-after speaker in senior wellness forums. His story resonated with many, and he found joy in sharing his experiences with others who were navigating similar paths. Through it all, he remained dedicated to his garden and the lessons it imparted. Each bloom served as a reminder of the resilience of life and the importance of nurturing oneself. Mr. Samuel had come to understand that taking care of one's health was not merely a daily routine, but a lifelong commitment, a commitment to living fully, engaging deeply, and embracing the beauty of connection. As he sat in his garden, surrounded by the vibrant colors and the laughter of his family, he felt a profound sense of peace. He knew that the journey of self-care was ongoing, filled with opportunities for growth, connection, and joy. In that moment, Mr. Samuel realized that life, in all its complexity, was a beautiful gift, and it was up to him to continue nurturing it with love, compassion, and a commitment to well-being.